Now we're going to go back to Tyler's high school days, and this will be a pretty cool segment as we're now joined by Tyler Matakevich's high school coach. His name is Joe Della Vecchia. He's been as coach at St. Joe's for 28 years in Connecticut, and he joins us right now. Coach, thanks for a few minutes. Zach, Gelb, and Mike Zahn here. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, we're doing great, and we appreciate a few minutes today. And Tyler, in his senior season, I was reading some articles up about him. He broke his foot. What do you remember about that, and how tough was it to overcome for Tyler Matakevich?
I remember he had a stretch fracture, and he was actually complaining during the preseason that he had new cleats and it was hurting him. And then we were in a scrimmage, and he intercepted a pass, rolled over, and came running off, said his foot hurt, and went to the hospital and came back with a broken foot. And he was quite devastated. He felt like he let everybody down, and we lost him for the first 5 games of the year. So that was a big loss for us.
And that injury affected the way that he was recruited. What did you tell college coaches when they recruited Tyler about what kind of player he is? Because right now he's one of the best stories in college football.
Everybody had their opinions that he was not big enough, too slow, and they were worried about his 40-yard dash time. And my answer was always, if you're worried about him chasing somebody from 40 yards, you got more problems than you think. I said, this kid could play football from 0 to 10 yards. There's nobody better. And I couldn't convince anybody of that. And so he went to prep school, and the rest is history, I guess.
And now it's kind of funny that he's at Temple University because there's so many stories over the history of Temple football where there's guys that aren't 4 or 5-star recruits and go on to have really good careers in both college and the NFL. Some guys being a Muhammad Wilkerson, a Rod Streeter. When you take a look at Tyler's story, when did you know, being able to coach him in high school, that he was just such a special kid?
He had a motor that never stopped. He was the guy that was always going to make the play, whether it was on offense or defense. He wanted to be the guy in that situation. He studied the game, and he absolutely loves the game of football. So he was determined, and he's passionate about it, and you knew no matter what he did, he was going to be successful.
We're talking to Tyler Matakevich's high school coach, Joe Della Vecchia, and I graduated from Fairfield Ludlow myself, so I'm very familiar with FCAC football. And does a player like Tyler Matakevich bring up the FCAC football feel?
I think it should. It's in my opinion, it's the best league in the state. I mean, there's arguments about that, but we do have good football in Connecticut, and we're a smaller state, so we don't have as many great players, but there are certainly enough great players out there. If given the chance, like an opportunity like Tyler got, they can show what they can do, and there have been some come out of our state that did it, but it's just getting an opportunity and taking advantage of it, and that's certainly what he did. And he's got the whole town of Stratford and our whole St. Joe's football community rooting for him, and he's basically living everybody's dream, so to speak. And I think he's certainly put our school in Fairfield County on the map.
What does Matakevich being named that Walter Camp State Player of the Year mean for not only the state, but specifically your school?
It's hard to describe. It's an awesome thing. I mean, we felt he should have been that the last couple of years, but he is it, and it's one of the highest honors you can get, and it's you read about other people all the time, from these larger schools and larger conferences getting all these awards, and here comes a kid that you've known since he was 4 years old, and he was your guy, and everybody's his friend. He's such a great kid, and for him to win that award, I think it's certainly special for us, certainly special for his family and our town. So it's really exciting to see that happen to him.
Nationally, it doesn't get any bigger than being named the top defensive player in the nation, winning the Nagurski Award, and he finds out his fate in the Bednarik Award tonight. Where were you when you found out the news that he won the Nagurski Award, and what were some of those emotions that you were experiencing?
Gosh, I think I was driving in the car when I heard, and his mom sent me a text. She was down there, and she sent me a text and a video right away and said he won. And I just thought that was so cool. I mean, I was pretty confident he was going to win. Just the kind of year he had and the story that he has. But it's still kind of sinking in for his fans and everybody that again, a local kid has risen to the top, and one thing about him, we've gone to quite a few of his games, and all the guys that he played with in high school go to all his games, and then they, screaming and yelling and cheering for him, and so we're so thrilled that he has done this, because like I said, he's living our dream.
Did you get a chance to speak to Tyler since he's won the award, and what was that conversation? What were the details of that conversation?
Yeah, I did. He actually called me 2:30 in the morning after.
That's a late one.
Yeah, so I was like, I am sleeping, and but he just said it's so surreal. I can't believe what's going on here, and and I just said, you deserve it, and he is as humble as they come. He said there's so many great players, and I said, well, you're one of those guys too, and I think he's appreciative of it, and he doesn't flaunt anything that he has. He's one of those guys, but he's excited about it, and again, he's just kind of humbled in disbelief that he is winning all these awards.
When everyone thinks about Tyler here at Temple University, they always think about his defensive play, his leadership both on and off the field, and just being the best linebacker in the country. But when he was in high school, Coach, this, he was a running back for you guys and also played on the baseball team. Give us a scouting report on Tyler Matakevich, the running back, and, of course, the baseball player as well.
He actually, his freshman year, he started as an outside backer. And his sophomore year, he played wide receiver for us. He played one of the slot receivers and caught about 40 passes. Played a little bit of running back, too. And then his junior year, we put him back at running back, his natural position. And he would have set the school record for touchdowns in the season if we had known he was that close. But he was so unselfish, he'd often switch positions with somebody else so they can get a touchdown in the game. So he had no matter what he did, he was good at. He even returned kicks for us once in a while. And so whatever he did, he was good at it. Baseball, he played a lot of different positions. He played first base, third base, outfield. He caught. He never really had a defensive position, but he could hit a baseball. So natural athlete, a natural competitor, and everybody always looked to him that, okay, we need a play here. You got to make it, Ty, and he usually did.
When you have these different scouts coming to the games and trying to look at Tyler Matakevich, you have an elite athlete, do you keep the rest of the team from trying to show off a bit and maybe taking plays away from him, or you just tell your guys to do what they need to do and not worry about the moment of scouts being there, looking at them and try to get them to play college Division I football?
It's interesting because when he played, we probably had the two of the best teams we've ever had his junior and senior years. We were back-to-back state champs. So we had some players on the team that were really good. So we competed every day at practice, and our kids never, would take a back seat to anything. They knew who our leader was, but they worked hard, and they wanted to be good every day, too, and show what they had. So we had great competitive practices all the time, and he was the guy. Everybody, knew they were going to listen to Tyler, follow his lead. But I don't think Tyler ever had anything taken away from him by somebody else trying to outdo him. He was just always better than everybody else. It was hard to do anyway.
Tyler still has one more college game remaining, and then it seems almost guaranteed that he will be making an NFL roster next year. What is your personal projection for Tyler in this upcoming draft?
Oh, those are so unpredictable. He'd be the first guy we had ever get drafted. So that we're just hoping that happens, and he does end up on a team somewhere. I know a lot of people want him close to home so we can go see him. But it just be unbelievable that if he gets drafted and does hook up with the team, we expect him to, and we expect somebody to pick up a kid like that because he's a character kid. He's a hardworking guy. He's going to make some team better in some fashion of the game. So, whatever happens, wherever he goes, I know he'll be thrilled. We'll be thrilled, and we'll see.
I have to imagine you're not a big fan of the combine because Tyler probably won't test that great in the combine when you look at the 40 time and then also the bench press as well, and they'll measure him in. But people just have to look at his tape for 4 years here at Temple because I just don't get, and we had Ray Didinger, who's a big-time writer in this town. He said he projects him to go somewhere in the second round. I don't get how people just look at the combine, though, Coach, and try to make their projections just off that only.
Well, I think it all starts in college football. Everybody wants to know your speed and how tall you are and your size to play the game, but they never measure your football ability or your heart. We've had several kids I thought were really great football players, and they might have been a little shorter than the other guy, but or a little slower, and they thought those guys were going to win. And I just kind of laughed. You're looking at the bowl games now. There's a lot of 5 and 7 teams in there, and I always say, good luck with those guys. Give me 20 Tyler Matakeviches that you can't measure his heart and his desire to play football. And those are the guys that are the winners. So that's where you want to go with stuff.
Joe Della Vecchia joins us right now, the head coach of St. Joe's, been there for 28 years, and of course got to coach Tyler Matakevich. Coach, let me just ask you this real quickly before we let you run. What do your current players say of Tyler Matakevich? Do they admire what he's doing, or do they talk about him a lot?
When Tyler is home, he does come by practice, so they all know who he is. They do look up to him. He was actually at our first game of the season, and he was on our sideline. I said, look, Tyler, you got to help coach up the linebackers here, make sure they're doing their jobs. And at one point during the game, he just said, he goes, Coach, this mind, how do you say it to me? He said, are we going to be all right? This is so nerve-wracking. And I said, coaching is a little different than playing. It's a lot easier to play. But the kids appreciate him being around, and they know who he is. And he comes and talks to them like, he's one of them. He's a regular guy, and he doesn't flaunt anything that he has to them, and they certainly appreciate that, and they love talking to him, and they love watching him play.
What's the best game that you ever seen Tyler Matakevich play, whether it was in high school or even at the college level?
God, there's so many great ones. I would say his junior year, our state championship game, we played in the hailstorm, and we were a throwing team, and we had like a 40-mile-an-hour wind, and it was freezing. It was like 16 degrees out, and we went primarily to giving Tyler the ball. And I think at one point in the second half, he ran the ball 27 straight plays, just kind of a pound thing, and scored both of our touchdowns in a 14-3 win. And he probably had 15 tackles on defense at the same time. So I think that stands out to me because that was our first championship. And he had told me that when he was in 7th grade that he was going to win the state championship for us when he got there.
Wow, just unbelievably incredible as Joe Della Vecchia joins us right there on the hotline. Coach, best of luck to your program. We appreciate it, and thanks so much for a few minutes of your time today.
Thank you very much for having me.